Hello, and today I'm back here again to talk about AI as usual, your AI engineer. So today I would like to encourage people who are already developers to get into the AI space and tell them why if you're a developer, you should immediately get in the AI space and not leave out this ride. Yeah, I was a developer first person as an engineer. I didn't start with the engineering. I started as a developer. So I had developed so much websites, mobile applications, all of this back end, front end application. Then I stumbled into AI and then it all made sense. And then I just doubled down. And fast forward after all that, I'm AI engineer. But I would like to encourage every other developer who is out there to actually take a look at AI and take a look at how to develop AI programs. So this video might be very much centered to AI to developers first, but in the future I will be making other videos for other people, including businesses and non-developer people. But for now, let us begin. So before we even get into why developers should get into AI, or mainly software developers should really get into I think the cost of intelligence has really gone down. And what I mean by the cost of intelligence is that a long time ago, the amount of work it will take to pull off a certain computational task or a certain task using strictly lines of code, just the coding the work using if conditions, it will have been so much. A good example is detecting a cat in an image without having to use any ML models. You a long time ago would have struggled so much to have to figure out the amount of if conditions and the amount of mathematical calculations you'll have to do. But now we're at a point where intelligence has quite literally dropped, and this can be seen in the likes of applications such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Stable Diffusion models, and even the coming Sora. And when I say has dropped, it means that the amount of work you need to put in to get a certain output has significantly dropped. And I think as developers, what that means is as a software developer person, it means that the amount of complicated tasks that we thought were complicated have now come closer and they're now within our reach. And let me just rephrase that. The amount of things that we thought were complicated and were far beyond doing are now within our reach. And now problems that we think were imaginary problems that could never be solved now are very much solvable. Why? Because the cost of intelligence has significantly dropped, making solving any problem very much doable, very much practical, very much in the realm of possibility. That's why these days you start seeing people playing around with very daring ideas that you will rarely see anyone talk about them 2, 3 years back. I myself am a I myself am doing that. An idea I waved 2, 3 years back and said I left it aside because it was too hard. Now I'm actually executing it because of the use of AI and all these current tools. So yeah, and for my developers who aren't already dabbling with AI or playing around with it, this is an encouragement to them. So yeah, now let us start. There's two sides of AI that I would consider from my experience. There's two sides of AI that I've mainly seen. There's the research side of AI and there's the inference and implementation side of AI. So I will start off with the research side and then move to the implementation side. From my experience, the research side of AI is the side of AI that requires the building of new AI algorithms, the sitting down and coming up with new transform architectures or new architectures, new AI algorithms to help solve a particular problem. So these are the people who would probably need to come up with new algorithms that are mainly mathematical in nature and deliver on this. So it's mainly abstract. It's not for people who do not have a good sense of the math. They will not see it immediately, but it's mainly abstract. Um, it is research intensive and does need a deep understanding of artificial intelligence or the fields related to it, pertaining to it. That include mathematics, statistics, general AI, and other related fields. And yes, and the job titles that would generally be around this space would be AI engineer, machine learning engineer, data scientists, uh, data specialists, data data analysts. These are the generally names that stick around this side of AI. So these are people who deal with big numbers, deal with big data, to really make sense of it all and come up with algorithms that can crunch this data to make sense for people. So yeah, and the pros and cons of this side. Of course, I'll have to give you pros and cons. The pros and cons of this side will be that this side has a really, the pros would be that it is really rewarding considering the amount of complexities involved. If you can manage to solve it, it is really rewarding. It is really high paying given the rate of AI. That is the side of AI that has high, a small innovation in that side can lead to high innovation on other spheres, other areas of life. A good example is the when the transform architecture was invented that led to ChatGPT that has affected very other many areas of our lives. And yeah, so that small improvement in ChatGPT or small development in that side can affect so many other people. So it's really rewarding monetary wise and affect in other ways. And yes, the cons of this side is it has a high barrier to entry, meaning for you to really get into that side of AI, you really need to have deep mathematical foundational understanding. I would probably say an advanced Python developer and have really good mathematical knowledge or good grasp of math and understanding of abstract information to make sense and develop these amazing solutions, but don't take it as a discouragement, because if most developers already have this kind of way of thinking, they're already analytical, they already have a structured way of thinking that most people, if they do turn into research, have a fair job, have a great job. And also on the research side, there's depth to it. You don't really need to know. For somebody like me, as much as I do know a good depth to it, I don't know as deep as some other people. I just know enough to execute the things I need. So there's also some depth to it, especially if you're dealing with fine tuning of other models, other existing models. You still need to understand the architecture and how it works and know how to use certain frameworks. But yeah, so the frameworks pertaining this side will probably include TensorFlow and PyTorch. And I say this as there's probably many other frameworks, but I think TensorFlow and PyTorch are really good. Just a good place to start from, and just keep playing around with them, trying to make solutions with them. Simple solutions such as image classification, natural language processing, which is a good big deal in AI right now, in Gen AI right now, and other applications that would make this side of AI really interesting. The other side I will call the inferencing side is the side that after the model has been developed, it's given to somebody who has not to make a user interface for the user to interact with. So after the transform architecture has been made and then they made a model they call ChatGPT 2, how can we get that ChatGPT to other people to use? So these are the people who create the interface of what the user sees to get to the model. And that's where most developers will probably lie. And I think that's an easier barrier to entry, considering the previous one. In this side, there is not so much research needed. There is not so much technical understanding of AI needed. All you need to do is have to probably be a beginner and to an intermediate. Even a beginner in any programming language can execute this side very well. But I'll probably say to be safe, just an intermediate to advanced developer in any language of your choice. And I think you probably have this side really covered really well. So yeah, the languages I'll probably say to watch that can execute this side really well would be Python, JavaScript, Golang, Flutter for mobile development, any client-facing application, any client-facing languages, uh, languages that can develop client-facing applications are a good plus for this side. That includes JavaScript, Flutter, and Python. And yeah, so you can think of it like that. And the tools that are mainly used in this side, I'll probably mention two. There are many, but I'll just mention two. And I think these two will be enough to really motivate people to go get your foot in the door and allow you to go and develop others, learn other complicated solutions and develop them. One will be LangChain. For a LangChain acts as an interface to allow you to connect with other LLMs as a reasoning engine and help add intelligence into your application. that will help make tools such as chatbots, such as smart document readers, document analysis tools, all of those. So LangChain is a really good tool at that. And another one will be LangChain, um, or Llama Index. Sorry, LangChain and Llama Index. Another one will be Llama Index. Does almost the same thing as LangChain. And also, I'd like to recommend Hugging Face Library. The Hugging Face Library is an amazing tool, and I would recommend any developer who's coding in any language and wants to use AI intelligence in the application, please use the Hugging Face Library. That's an amazing tool. I think every person who calls themselves a developer should have an understanding of how the Hugging Face Library work and how they can use it to their applications. So basically, what this is, it acts like an abstraction for developers. They understand the word abstraction, but it acts like an interface or a bridge that that allows most developers to not have to worry about how the underlying code works or how the underlying models work, such as the ChatGPT, the llamas, the really complicated models. They don't have to know how it works. All they need to know is there is this function. If I call, it will execute, and I can get the response and add it to my give it to my user or that. So it can be as simple as telling a user to state what they want using their microphone. So they just speak into the microphone, you get the voice, you pass it to a model, and you are given the function that you need to pass it to the model. The model gives you an equivalent output of what he said, and then you process that output to understand what the person has actually meant. So if somebody says, I want a glass of water, can take that voice, pass it through a voice analysis model that can give you that speech, can take that speech and then pass it into another LLM that takes speech, and then the speech can clearly break it down to you that they want this water or this water, and that other model, you can use another model as an agent, as a reasoning engine to help you execute what next move to carry out. So if they want a glass of water, you probably need to have a function that can identify where glasses of water are and go and do that in a case. So it's slightly complicated on a higher level, but I'm using that example. It's slightly complicated, but really it's fairly simple. You just have to have a certain set of input, give it to a model, and then the model will give you outputs, and then you can use this output to any other person. And Hugging Face has really made this super simple. So yeah, consider checking out Llama Index and Hugging Face. And such some of the applications we can really use in this side are chatbots, um, detection application. So this can be image detection application, facial detection application, voice detection application, certain word detections application. Most of these models have been created, they exist out there, so you don't have to create anything, you just have to get them, put them into your application. And yeah, I think I already went over the pros and the cons. The cons to this side, the pros to this side is there's a really low barrier to entry, meaning you don't have to know a lot to get into it. The cons of this side is it doesn't pay as well as considering the other side, but really, I think it's getting there. The market is hot, and I think the pay is significantly higher than normal developers. So I'll urge everyone to try that side out as well. As long as you know how to code, that shouldn't be something you should be struggling in or trying it out. And yes, and finally, I think I will, after going through those things, and I'll just encourage everyone to again try it out and go out there and see what you can make. Now the possibilities of us making interesting applications are very much within our reach. So go out there and try to make something. Just use this that few knowledge if you need and make something. I have interesting books that I would recommend everyone to read for people who are looking to get into the research side, and also other interesting resources I could give anyone interested in getting into the inferencing side. But you can reach out to me through the DMs and I'll probably reach back to you. Thank you for listening this far out. I will be making more videos in the future, and we'll be speaking about AI and other stuff in AI, and I'll probably be explaining what they're doing and in other spaces. And if you have reached this far on LinkedIn, thank you so much. Have a great day.